Hey, it's John Gaeta again. This is the anatomy of the Super Punch as seen in Revolutions. The Super Punch was one of the first pieces of concept art that Geof Darrow drew for Larry and Andy. I believe that was one of the very first boards ever revealed to Joel and to Warner Brothers as the future on the horizon. And the funny thing about it is that it was a punch. You know, it's a guy getting punched in the face. Steve Skroce drew it, and within his drawings came a lot of understanding of the graphic nature of the rainstorms and the use of water as an explosive element. This particular motion capture is pretty awesome reference material just to see how the body contorts in a roundhouse. Almost all virtual shots were planned in advance through visualization so that we could figure out what could be photographed as a reference or an actual component ahead of time. So this is just basically a 3D planning guide. Even from the very first bullet time shot we did in Matrix, we'd try to photographically shoot the same shot as best we could, but almost in every single case, it wasn't temporally correct. In the early days of trying to figure out how we would shoot photographic elements for this, things that I checked out included some documentary footage of Fight Club, one of my favorite companies in the business. Booth, located in Paris, had approached the final shot where Ed Norton shoots himself in the face, and they had used some high-powered air jets they shot into his mouth. We tried that, and it worked very well in terms of a reference of how flexible Hugo's face was. Additionally, I looked at Norwegian bare-fisted fighting. It was very severe. It was a great reference of guys getting punched directly in the head for real, and we really needed to know what that was like. We decided to make a sculpture that demonstrated the three-dimensional outcome of the hit. So we took a facial cast from Hugo, and an artist deformed that sculpture to sort of capture the caricature-like nature of the drawing. We put it into the universal capture system, so it was actually cross-referenceable with Hugo's real head that would do the performance after that. And one of my favorite things about effects is this sort of stuff. It's like experimentation. You try to manage experimentation as controlled chaos. In visual effects, you're going to find a lot of really funny preliminary studies. Usually, it's kind of a healthy exercise to exaggerate the idea of the effect and whittle it back to what you want. This is a rudimentary analysis of ripples. What you're looking at here is a study of rain. Like everything else, the rain had a list of specifications from some of the stuff you may have seen with the documentary of the actual photographic part of this fight. The chubby rain needed to effectively be, cascading lines so that when you looked at certain angles, you'd have this sort of graphic moire-like effect. When we worked out the interaction with the fist, we basically wanted it to be like a train smashing into giant glass rods. In examining documentary footage of guys being hit for real in the face, there is this thing that occurs right off, which is like an inch or so displacement of the skull in the direction of the punch, and that has a lot to do with the impact and the pain. So we had to figure out how much to displace his head and whether that displacement was going to also have some kind of overlapping effect with the ripples from the impact. So here's the final shot in all its glory. The characters are both virtual. The background is entirely virtual. The rain is all computer generated. The heads of Hugo and Keanu are based on the UCAP, but Hugo's head was augmented and mutated for the impact. I'd have to say we're really satisfied with it. We like the end better than the beginning, but the beginning is just a little pathway into your payoff.